Hello, everyone, and welcome to One Place in Conversations. I'm Isaac Harvey, a project facilitator, filmmaker, and editor for One Place Creative. I'm also joined here with Saifur, work closely with. He's part of the One Place Creative team. And also we have Sherrine Barrowes, who is new to the organization, and she's a psychotherapist, counselor, and is also currently a deputy project manager for One Place East Community Mental Health Program. So we welcome you here too.
Thank you.
So yeah, how's everyone's week been?
Busy. Don't know about you and Sherrine, but yeah, busy.
Yeah.
Busy weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually been, yes, a busy weekend for me too. But I'm actually looking forward to doing this podcast. It's my first time with you guys.
Yes.
Thank you for welcoming me. And I look forward to working on it with you guys.
Yes, perfect. So today we're going to as today is World Mental Health Day, which is observed on the 10th of October every year, with the overall objective of the day to raise awareness of mental health issues around the world and mobilizing efforts in support of mental health. The World Federation of Mental Health have announced that the theme of this year's event is mental health in an unequal world. We're going to be having Sherrine, who we're very fortunate is going to lead on today's podcast. And also we're going to talk about the program which is happening today. So first over to Saifur and then to Sherrine.
Yes, we've got a busy program ahead today. World Mental Health Day, we want One Place East. We have a creative writing workshop at 11 o'clock this morning. And then we'll have a tea and talk session at 1 o'clock. So, come and join us for that one. And then in the afternoon, we'll have an art workshop at 2:30 for an hour and a half. And then we'll have a wellbeing workshop at 4 o'clock. And then we'll finish off the day with a men's group at 5:30. So, yeah, can you join us for that one?
Perfect. It sounds like it's going to be a good day.
It will be a good day. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So over to Sherrine.
Yes, it sounds really interesting. I just wanted to highlight the fact that 1 in 4 of us suffers from or experience some form of mental health. And at One Place East, we create a supportive and, a supportive environment to reconnect and to talk about mental health. And that's part of why we've put the show on today. Now, obviously, the theme behind this year's mental health is inequality. And so that comes under discrimination, stigma, lack of support, limited, access to housing, etc. Especially when it comes to people who are disabled or ethnic minorities. And today we have a special guest who I've called on today. She sat on many platforms, and she also sits with the disabled community, but also understands a bit about mental health. And so I'm looking forward to seeing her. Yeah.
Yeah. So here she is.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me on your stage. I appreciate it.
Okay. I'll give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, Elaine, and so you can talk about yourself and introduce yourself to the platform. Go ahead.
I'm Elaine. I'm based in North London. I was born with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and I created a 5-figure business from my bed after being medically retired and was recovering from surgery. Since then, I've gone on to coach and mentor other disabled people on how to start their businesses, and I'm a very much advocate that how we change the disabled community and move forward is by economic growth, by financial literacy. I also talk to CEOs about disability and about benefits of hiring someone with disability and the advantages that it brings to the organisation. And obviously with that, we do have a lot of activism work, especially within the Black and Asian community. And I deal with a lot of young carers who I feel don't actually get their voice heard and actually go, are not actually on statistics, they're not actually including statistics because we the Black, especially the Black community and the Asian community, we tend not to let the authorities know that our young people are carers. They need a lot of support and they actually struggle with a lot of mental health issues around this. So I do a lot of talks. Myself and Sherrine have shared a couple of stages where we've actually talked about this and discussed it and how to bring awareness to these minorities. So yeah, so I'm Elaine and thanks for the opportunity.
And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine. That's very empowering to hear how much you have done, and the work that you do within the community, and try to kind of not only create awareness but help with some form of positivity, knowing that we're capable of anything regardless, sometimes of our circumstances. And so, later on in the show, we have a few questions for you, which we'll pose to you. But in the meantime, I just wanted to kind of explain sometimes what the 5 signs of kind of mental health are. Sometimes it comes in terms of excessive paranoia, so that could be too much worry or anxiety. Long-lasting sadness, extreme mood changes, social withdrawal from situations that you would normally want to be in, and dramatic changes in your eating or sleeping. If anything like this happens to you, please contact your GP. Do not suffer alone. Speak to someone close to you. And then later in the show, I will go through the 5 ways of well-being, which will help you to access different things on a daily basis that would help you with your mental health. Okay, I'll pass over to Isaac.
I guess what we could start with is talking about how best we deal with our mental health. How best we have dealt with it to feel better in ourselves. Going on for what you mentioned in the beginning there, Sherrine. So if we could go around and then talk about it, and then I'll also mention what I do. Elaine, would you like to go first?
Well, thank you, Isaac. I think for me, I'm very fortunate I don't suffer with anything with anxiety. However, I do have a support for my daughter who does have social anxiety and autism. So it's about really for us personally. I try to keep her motivated. I try to keep her support her in we talk a lot and we talk about feelings and emotions. And again, I think that's something that within the Black community we don't actually talk about. We don't actually talk about our emotions. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't allow people to we still have a lot of stigmas around it. So it's breaking those stigmas and having that conversation. And I'm very much about open conversation in our house. So if my daughter's feeling, if she's feeling down or she's feeling that she's not coping, we do try and have a conversation around it. Or I try and give her skills to, I encourage her to do her artwork, go for a walk, contact the doctor if it gets thingy. And I'm actually dealing with, a personal situation at the moment where I've recently lost my goddaughter who committed suicide, which is quite painful. And that's a lot to deal with as well. So it's the whole emotion. So it's something that's very, very prevalent. And we need to find ways to engage with it and reach out to our young. I do think that we need to have those hard conversations to kind of discuss it. And so so thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, because I can relate to that. When so for most of my life, I found it very difficult to be honest with my emotions and also be honest with others about it. And because of that, because I didn't want to upset people telling them that I wasn't in the great mood that I was in. So I was more thinking about others when I wasn't really thinking about myself. And then it came back to like you mentioned about having hard conversations and being honest, was when it really helped, and people did actually want to listen, and they were like, thank you for telling me how you feel, and this is how you can deal with it, and I'm here to help you if you want to talk about it. So it's good to have that support network that I could just be honest with and speak to. And also about saying it to young people, I did a talk a couple of weeks ago at a youth engagement event, and basically I was saying, you know, even though I have a disability, I'm able to overcome obstacles. But it was when coming in terms with my mind was when I really started to soar in life and really take advantage of things, and realize that whatever we think, feel, and speak turns into our reality. So it's that, you know, really changed my perception of life. Good.
Mhm.
So Sherrine,
Yeah.
how would you say?
Yes, that's very interesting and quite a moving story as well. I think my journey with mental health, I think, started with my daughter. We're actually going to, during the intermission, put some sort of poetry on that she's written. And so for me, the challenge was making sure that she was okay. She lost all her hair at the age of 9. And sometimes, you know, we don't necessarily see disability, but, you know, it's there. And it's kind of, you know, it was challenging for her because obviously not everyone could see it. For others, it may be, oh, it's just your hair. But for her, she's a woman. And losing that was she felt was a fundamental part of her. And I think, you know, me being a therapist has helped a lot for her. You spoke about the mind, Isaac, and that is so true, because when she was able to actually deal with it mentally and kind of accept what was happening to her, and had the kind of courage to understand that her journey is different and she could still touch people's lives, I think that was the point at which everything changed for her. So I think for me, on an individual level, I think well-being is something that we always strive for. We're not, even as a therapist, you don't always do what you need to do to make sure your well-being is okay. But generally, and that brings me to the 5 ways of well-being, which is, you know, connect to someone, because it helps with your self-worth and your sense of belonging. Take notice of things. So, you know, in the here and now, if you're enjoying yourself in the moment, revel in that, you know, smell a flower, you know, because these are the little things that matters. Be active in whatever way that is possible for you, because that brings happy endorphins, you know, through your brain and help you to actually be able to feel better, and learn something new, because that also helps with your self-esteem and your sense of belonging. And give, you know, it could be your time, your effort, because those things make you feel good as well. So I think, that would be my mantra in terms of my mental health well-being. So far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the way I deal with it, and I remember, um, when the pandemic started and the lockdown started, it was a difficult situation. I had to move out of house. I had to move out of home because a couple of my family members had symptoms, and it was easier for me to move out. So I moved out and moved with my uncles, and You know, the way I dealt with it, I think it was I was out of my comfort zone, but to be able to talk to other people, whether it was over on the phone, doing FaceTime, and that helped quite a lot. So what I would say, is talk to people, be open, be yourself, and that really does help, help with your mental health. Yeah, and drawing. I think I like to draw and color, and just color everything. I tend to draw a circle, draw a box, and then start coloring that in, in different ways, and that is a great soothing feeling that you can get, when you start doing that. And you don't think about that, but as you're doing it, it does kind of relax your mind, and just it does help quite a lot. No?
Therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very therapeutic. Yeah.
Because it reminds me of our art workshops when you would get involved.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and it's lovely seeing everyone get involved doing art. It's good for the mind.
Yeah, and you can see people kind of after the session they say how much they've enjoyed it and how it's made them feel more relaxed afterwards. So it's great. Yeah.
And that comes under taking notice, because when you're in that moment doing the artwork, doing the drawings and the coloring, you're focused, and so you're in the here and now, so you actually get a chance to enjoy what you're doing. And I think that is actually a great way to deal with your mental health when you're feeling poorly. Do things that you enjoy doing. So I think that's a great idea. Creative writing, singing, dancing, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, but you enjoy doing. That's a good way.
Yeah, singing. Yeah.
And to go on from what you said, Sherrine, about taking notice of the little things.
Yeah.
There might be small things that you enjoy doing, but it's those moments that you have to really treasure. I know how much it's really affecting you positively.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yes. But I also like to the 5 things about connecting, taking notice, being active, learning, and giving back. You just got to keep your mind occupied. That's all you have to keep doing. Because as soon as you lose that, that's when you start to feel down. So you got to keep active and always doing something. I'm always doing something, which keeps me going. So yeah, it helps. It helps.
And it is. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was also gonna say it's just because it's things that I know, but it's nice to hear it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Keeping your mind occupied is a good way, but also remember that, in stressful situations, sometimes it's good to step back and analyze what you're feeling in the moment, because you also don't want to overdo it in terms of if it becomes a chore rather than something you're enjoying. You don't really want to overdo it. And, as I heard from both of you, also men struggle with mental health as well. 2 in 5 men suffer with mental health. And, as much as, it sits at 43% compared to women who are 53%, it's still gone up 6% since 2009. And so men, we've always, you guys have always been told to kind of make sure that you're strong and you can handle everything. But yeah, but you're human, and it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat at the end of the day. We all suffer this, in our own ways. that's the way we deal with it. And just remember that you're not the only one,
Yeah.
suffering.
So, Sherrine, it's the same with children as well. I think we have a tendency to tell children that they're resilient.
Yeah.
We have this notion that you can dump everything on a child and they can just deal with it, or they'll grow out of it, or it won't matter to them. I think there aren't, I still struggle to find statistics about, especially children from the from Asian and Black minorities who are actually getting mental health services and support, because it's that whole stigma, because we don't talk, we don't spare their feelings, we don't want to listen to their feelings. It's all this, we have this culture of just well, they're kids, what on earth do they have to worry about? There's a recent report out recently where they were saying about Instagram is detrimental to young girls' health. But I would argue that it's not just detrimental to young girls. I would say it's detrimental to young boys as well, because you're giving that false impression of what it's like to be perfect. And as we all know, there's nothing in this world that's perfect. It doesn't exist. It's a concept. And I think we our kids are, the younger generation are very much now about social media, about fame and following these influencers. Influencers have taken over celebrities to an extent. And they're just random people, but they just have this portrays into perfect life. And I think every child that they speak to, they want to become an influencer. They want to be on social media. They're not realizing what it's doing to them. So of course, their mental health is, we have high rates of anxiety, of of people feeling alone. There's a report that I read a few months ago saying that we have a generation where they feel more alone than ever before. So even though they're in a family setting, they just feel like they're, and that's something that we need to. And that's where I say to you about the conversations, about the hard conversation. We need to be talking to our children. We need to be talking to our nieces and nephews and saying, "Are you okay?" And actually, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be perfect. You didn't have to associate it with the norms of society. You are normal. You are a normal human being. You can appreciate life. You don't have to be put. This idea of perfection that we're digesting is not healthy. I think that's where conversations like this come into effect. So we need to do more research around it, to reach out to our families and friends and say it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely. I second that, Elaine. I think the kids are growing up in a society now where, they look at things like Facebook and Instagram and actually feel that the person looks like that every day. The amount of filters they use, and that might be their best day. And obviously it's an imaginary life rather than reality. And you're right, letting them know that it's okay not to be okay is actually a great message to children. Another thing that, and I think another way to manage that is actually have a day that you pull away from social media, because, obviously you need to find a way to kind of unplug, so that you are not always feeling as though insecure. There's even body dysmorphia and stuff like that comes out of seeing those perfect images. So unplug, because, what it does is it works on a side of the brain that actually, makes you feel insecure and unloved, and as though your life is not worth living because you're seeing a picture of something that is just a temporary image.
I was gonna say I fell into that trap. I used to do YouTube vlogging, and I first of all started it because I just liked doing it, and then it got to a point where I was just looking at the numbers and the likes, and it really did get me down. That I was spending like 2 weeks and I would get hardly any views, and it really got to that cycle where I was chasing the views rather than making good content. And that really did affect my mental health a lot, to the point now I don't really do YouTube. It was only later when I discovered a video online, and the guy was basically saying, he was saying, you know, so you might not get a million views, but it means a million people haven't seen your stuff. So the 1 or 2 people have seen it are very lucky, and the other people are unlucky. So you're seeing it the other way around. So I kind of learned that late, because I don't really do YouTube now, but you know, that's a really good skill that I want to teach the young, not to chase the views and things, because at the end of the day, you're making good content and it's unique to you. And yeah.
I agree. I think social media has that effect that, you know, you want to get your messages out there, you know, and you put your messages out there to chase views. You know, I mean, that's a natural instinct, isn't it? You know, you're putting out a message, you know, to get who sees your message, and you know, number of people that see your message. But I'd say at the other, you know, looking at it the other way, I think it's a good thing, because you're just getting in, you know, letting it out, you know. So it helps. It does help, you know, with your with your self-esteem as well. I think, you know, just get it out. But
yeah, and also adding earlier about social media and showing that perfect lifestyle, and saying about it might be their perfect day, but the problem with all these influencers, they only show the perfect days.
well,
They really need to start showing like the honesty about it, which is why I'm kind of more honest on social media, because I just want to tell people, like, it's not always a great day. So
yeah. And then, you know, when the paparazzi do start showing the real side, they kind of, you know, hide themselves away, don't they?
yeah.
Which you know, I don't see why, because, you know, you want to just, yeah, why would you want to hide yourself? You know, cover your face.
Because if you're an influencer, why would you show that side?
Yeah. That's interesting, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And I think it's a way of, it's, you know, obviously we have no control over what another individual does, but I think on a personal level we can make the decision, you know, every day to just be us and allow others to understand that, you know, we were born with worth. You know, all of us, every single one of us who is on this earth, have their own value on this earth and their own self-worth. We're born with that. And so it's okay, you know, for us not, I'm using your term again, Elaine, not to feel okay. And the thing with the hits in terms of the likes is it increases your dopamine levels. And so you're searching for more and more and more of dopamine through the likes.
Yes.
And so that is when it gets out of control. And so that is why it's good to unplug and step back from that.
Yeah, I advocate for we have a an outage day. So for once a week, we just switch everything off: computers, TV, phones, everything. We go out for dinner, we go for a walk in the park, we just sit and have a conversation. And you just really you come back and you come back to social media the next day. You're like, oh my god, you know what I mean? I did actually need this, and that's actually changed my perceptive. You know, I'm on Instagram, but I very rarely use it. I'm on Twitter, I very rarely use it. I'm probably most platform that I use is really Clubhouse, because it gives you the ability to talk and connect. I very rarely use my Facebook account apart from for business and stuff like that. But I just think that we have become so plugged into this normality. Like yesterday, it made me laugh when Facebook went down yesterday, and WhatsApp. How everybody was just like, it was a meltdown, you know what I mean? And so when their friends text me, said people were ringing the police, and I was like, oh, people. I just thought I was that obsessed with social. it was very hard. There's like 5 billion people didn't know what to do themselves because Instagram and what Facebook had gone down. Where I was thinking, where I was just sitting there, me and my daughter were just sat there watching TV. We were just, even my daughter was like, she's 21, so she's off at 8. And she's like, Mum, it's just stupid. It's like people can't talk about social media for 4 hours. She's like, what is the matter with people? But you just think, what level of life are you living where your whole life remains around that whole concept of social media? I was laughing my head off because I was on Clubhouse. You just saw endless views with the most bizarre conspiracy theories ranging from aliens to the Chinese to Russian to Mark Zuckerberg not paying his internet bill.
Oh, that's funny.
To everything. It's just mad. I just thought, okay, I would say. So you have to wonder what kind of world we're actually giving our children where you are. And I think if you're suffering from mental health, and obviously with the lockdown, stuff like that does not add to you. I mean, the lockdown I felt was very, very difficult for a lot of people, especially if you live on your own and you in that period of time, you didn't have the support. And then we are still kind of in that lockdown where we're not really free to move around. And I just think all these just adding to the pressure. So it's really hard to take the good things in life, walk in the park, take your shoes off, just to sit in the grass, just enjoy the little things that are important. And yeah, the social media is always going to be there. It's always going to change. It's always going to evolve. It's always going to be there. So yeah, that's my view.
Because it's before this conversation, me and Saifur were talking about the outage, and I was saying it's like I didn't really miss it. I really didn't miss it.
Well, I'm in another boat. I think I actually did miss it, you know.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, I mean, when what's it called? When WhatsApp did go down. I mean,
Oh yeah, that did.
You know what I mentioned, what I said to you earlier on, right? Is that yeah, because everybody now for messaging, everybody uses WhatsApp, right? Rather than an SMS text message. So, you know, I was trying to get hold of you, Isaac, right, and I couldn't get hold of you because of the WhatsApp, right? And it didn't thought didn't occur to me that let me just send you a text message instead, right? That just didn't register in my mind at all, you know. But yeah, I'm like, I just switched off my computer and everything and just sat down. And only later on when I was on Twitter, and then loads of people were kind of complaining about social media going down, and the only network that was running was Twitter, right?
And LinkedIn.
Sorry, and LinkedIn. yeah. And then I'm thinking, hold on a minute, we've still got text messaging here, right? So I then, sent Isaac a text message, and then I'm thinking, well, I could have just done that and start, I thought, but it's weird how social media has taken over, our lives. But the question I want to ask is, has social media helped our mental health?
That's a good point. Because I shared a post on Facebook about a month ago saying, and it was like a picture of it was like really powerful pictures of like people being addicted to it and all types of different things. And one of my friends was saying, if it wasn't for Facebook, he would be really depressed and down. And that's his way of connecting with people, and that's how he's met. I'm part of a roller skating group, wheelchair roller skating, and he said if it wasn't for social media, he wouldn't have known about us. And he said it's really helped his mental health, which I thought was quite interesting, seeing the complete opposite side of it. Because I'm a bit on the fence about it. I do see the positives, as in it's the easiest way of connecting with people and talking, but it's that side of being addicted to it and looking at all these perfect people. That's like what puts me off. So I'm on the fence about it.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what it was like, 40, 50 years ago when there was no such thing, but I wasn't around then.
Well, I was around. Well, not 40 years ago, but I was around when there was no Facebook.
Yeah, tell us the experience.
Good.
And I can say that we played outside a lot more. We communicated with each other more. I think social media platforms has created this issue where, I know sometimes mothers have to text their child who is upstairs in their room to tell them to come downstairs and have dinner.
Yeah, I do that now. I call my brother. I actually call him, ring him up, right? All the time, going up there. Yeah.
So I think, as with everything, it has its positives and negatives. Obviously, it has created a platform for example, for me to be able to speak to friends that I haven't spoken or went to school with, etc., all over the world. And so, it's positive in that way. If you have a business and you want to get it out there, Facebook is good in that way. And obviously, when you think about people who are isolated, WhatsApp is good for that as well. But equally, it really is about unplugging sometimes and finding other avenues to communicate. Those days, I remember when I just came to the UK when I was 15, I had to write a letter to my mother, to my grandmother from here to Jamaica. So, and I had to wait a few weeks for it to be delivered, so, that's how it is growing up.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's a letter? I don't know what that is.
I remember doing the same thing. I also remember having the dial phone where you had to put your finger in and ring it all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm from that era. I remember going out. We were called latchkey kids. So literally, your mum would go to work, she'd kick you out, you'd stay out all day, and then you'd come home when she come home from work. We were called latchkey kids back then. Different life, completely different life. My daughter thinks of me sometimes. She's like, "Mum, you're just crazy." Probably am. But I think pretty much what Sherrine said. I think social media has had its place. I think it's been great for the sense that people who have felt alone can connect. So they see people who are, coming out and say talking about depression or other, and they can form that click. So I think it's 50-50. It's half of you put eggs in the basket and you take them out. I think it's something that's helped. It gives people like myself, Sherrine, and everyone in this stage a voice, so we can be heard and our causes can be taken care of. And then for some people, it's been the cause of their demise. And I think it's all how I think it's more about your dynamics around you, and how much social media plays a part. When my daughter was growing up, as a parent, you try to limit the amount of times they are on social media. We were kind of successful, kind of not successful. She created a Facebook account without me knowing, which most kids did at her age. But we took her out outside. She went outside and played with friends. She met her friend. She played piano. She, went to the roller park. We did things to try and engage her, so she wouldn't be on the computer. But then you don't. Then some parents just may not have that luxury, just for the sitting them in front of YouTube all day or allowing them to access keeps them quiet. So I think it's your family dynamics and your friends around you play a part. And you find a medium that works for you. So for me, like I say, I'm probably because of my age, I'm not so, I can give or take with social media. I log on, it does my head in, I switch off. I don't care. I'm not into these for celebrity. I'm not bothered what Boris Johnson's doing now or what I'm very much into politics and my campaign and stuff like that. But I'm not bothered about Kim Kardashian and the husband she's trying to kill off. I don't care. My phone. But I do use it as a medium to talk to other disabled people and say, look, this is what we can do, and this is how we move things forward. This is we need to get disabled permits. We need to get rid of disabled badges and make them more digitalized so they get stopped. That's the things that I'm passionate about. And I use social media to get those platforms across and say, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what needs to happen.
I think also it's like with social media, we have to realize that it's only a tool, and it's down to the individuals of how they use it. Because it's like a knife can take someone's life, or it can make you a good sandwich. So it's how you use these platforms. And I just feel that some influencers just need to do a better job, especially when they're targeting so many young people. Just to become better people, and again, going back to not showing just the perfect lifestyle all the time. It's just not how life works.
Yeah. Give me one negative of social media or the internet that has brought into our lives. Give me one negative. Who wants to give me?
I think the COVID period has highlighted that so much because the amount of theories in relation to that. I think for me, that was a very negative thing at a time when people were already feeling vulnerable. And then you have these different theories about they're trying to kill you, etc. It's ridiculous because, and for me, that's the negative part of social media because, anyone can have this concept that makes no sense. And even if it makes sense, it's still scary for, other individuals who are vulnerable. And it's just not something that should be a free for all. So I think for me, that's been one of the negatives of it.
Because I also brought up the rise of fake news.
Yes, fake news. Yeah, fake news.
That's the problem.
For me, it's probably the false narrative that every teenager will be an overnight success. So you don't have to work for it. You instantly go to YouTube, you'll get 1 million likes, and you'll suddenly start reaping in thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And the amount of young people I speak to who say to me, I want to be a YouTube star, I want to be a TikTok star, I want to be a Instagram star. And I'm like, do you realize the work that goes into that? It's not just, and it's that concept, that misconception that just because they're on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they're making these funny reels, that it's just overnight you're going to blow up and you're going to be Justin Bieber. And I'm like, no, this is so yes, that's the biggest thing. But like she said, the disinformation around elections, around COVID, just about it's been a cesspit for that kind of information.
I think for me, it's however long it's been around, it still excludes people who can't get online, and not being able to connect with people, because some people do rely on face-to-face and getting letters through their door. So when like social media is having all this rise, it is still excluding people, especially during the pandemic. That really excluded a lot of people who all of a sudden now had to go on the internet when they've just never done that before. So it definitely did exclude people. It still does. I think that's the best life, not having to deal with it anyway, to be honest.
I would say possibly the increase of hate crime. I think the internet and social media has increased hate crime, sadly. So I think that would be one of my negatives, I'd say, about social media. Yeah. No?
Let's turn him up. No,
go ahead.
No, you first.
And I think leading off what Saifur said, yes, things like cyberbullying, I'm going back to saying in my day, it didn't even exist. What's this cyberbullying? You know, and now it is just so prevalent. You know, my daughter, who is in secondary school, she talks about it quite a lot. People, you know, put derogatory messages. Yes, it's their own Instagram, and yes, it's their own page. But for me, it comes back to the hate that is being fostered, you know. So definitely that's a negative as well.
Too much hate.
Oh.
Social hate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not needed. I was gonna say, with all the negatives, what's one positive that you feel with social media?
Positive. Positive on social media. I would say being able to connect with people you'd never ever thought you'd be able to connect, communicate with. You know, we're talking about celebrities, for example. You know, back in Sherrine's days, right? You know, would you think that you could ever, get a message out to, I don't know, somebody that you idolize in the celebrity world? You know, how easy has that become today? You know,
It's a good point.
Absolutely. I think when you say it's so funny because if I speak in terms of culturally, yes, there were no phones and you know, but somehow once upon a time the concept of it takes a village to raise a child really existed within our community. You would be shocked that you do something down the road and your mother finds out about it by the time you get home. And there was no Facebook.
It happened to me. It happened to me. I can actually attest to that. It happened to me. I got caught smoking. I was walking past my neighbour's house, which was probably about a mile away from my mum, where we lived. Smoking away on a cigarette. And by the time I got home, my mum had found out about it.
and how did you find out?
Sorry.
How did you find out?
I don't know, but the thing that it was just weird. She knew about it, and then she didn't say. So she's like, "Well, I think I saw someone saw you smoke a cigarette." I could not figure out who it was, and then eventually I realised, like, months later, who it was. So
Big Brother's always watching now, eh?
So it is true. But yeah, but in terms of the questions of positive, again, I think it allows people like ourselves to have a platform and just be heard. I think for I'm a 70s chick. I was born in the 70s. So yeah, we had to do a lot. We had to do a lot of, when I first came into activism, it was a lot of letter writing. It was a lot of on the telephone. It was trying to get appointments. It was standing off and petitioning in the street. Now all that has kind of been eliminated to an extent. So now if I'm upset or I'm trying to get a message out, I can just go to Instagram and do a live video, or I can go on to put a post on it to LinkedIn, and millions around the world will see it or be retweeted. And I think that's what's helped a lot of causes. So that's positive of social media for people with disabilities and the awareness of mental health.
And
Yeah.
Go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, I was just gonna go on from that. I joined LinkedIn only like 5 months ago, and the amount of opportunities and people I've connected with via LinkedIn is just crazy. For years, people would say you need to join LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, why do I need another social media, especially a professional Facebook? Why do I need that for? But after doing it and putting my stuff up, it really gets engagement and people are interested, and I'm connecting with professionals in Germany. I met someone in Canada. And yeah, it's just great just getting my message out there and then being able to work with others who may have the same message or doing something that I think is great and I want to get involved in to push their message. So it works both ways.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for a platform a teleportation platform, right? That's what I'm waiting for next.
That would be great.
Yeah, I think in terms of the positives, yes, I You know, I take inference from all of you in terms of, you know, the connection definitely helps with connecting with, you know, I would not, I mean, yes, we can use the telephone, but even the video platform, having conversations through video with families you haven't seen for years or months, or just checking in, you know, with others who usually, you know, especially being an immigrant myself, coming from another country, you know, some of these people you wouldn't see again until you visit, you know, you may talk to them occasionally. But Facebook has kind of helped you. It even tells you when someone's birthday and things like that sometimes helps others to feel good when you remember that, okay, it's their birthday today, and you reach out to them. Something as simple as that.
And I also like with Facebook, it gives the memories as well. It's like, oh, actually, I did that 4 years ago. Like, it's time flies. So I love that feature as well.
Yeah, and you know, thinking of just talking about looking at Zoom. You know, Zoom only people just started using mainly during you know when the pandemic started, but in fact Zoom actually came out back in 2012. You know, so yeah, people not many people knew about Zoom before, but I think the whole world knows now.
We were using Skype.
What, even before 2012?
Yeah, yeah, most people were on Skype, weren't they?
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Zoom is a lot more popular now. Definitely. But I remember using it prior to the pandemic as well, but although rare, you know, and yet it's become like almost, you know, the number one platform to use for meetings now. So yeah, I think, you know, as we discussed, it has positives and negatives. And I think it's incumbent upon us to kind of know when to step back and give ourselves a break from it, and kind of understand when it's becoming an addiction as opposed to something that we use as a part of a whole. Um, so I think that's we just need to check in with ourselves, you know, just to ensure that we're not overdoing it.
Yeah, manage our times.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, one thing I've done during the past couple of months is time blocking and make sure that I have time to myself and not overworking or overdoing it. So managing time.
Yeah, yeah. Looking after our mental health is you know, yeah.
But yeah, we've been having some very good conversation that we've gone past the intermission part. uh, so what I'm thinking is, well, I'll pass it on to Sherrine, but we're going to be showing a video, and then we'll just have a little discussion and a wrap up afterwards. So over to you, Sherrine.
Okay, well, we're about to show a video of my daughter Sade. She, as I explained earlier, she lost all her hair at 9, had alopecia, and it has been a journey for her going through secondary school, getting teased, not this feeling of not being good enough or not being accepted by society. And she went on to study performing arts. She went to university, finished her degree in performing arts. I was shocked by her choice because obviously, you know, confidence was not her main thing, but she challenged herself. And now she's doing really well. She's now been asked to be a producer of different programs. She just recently finished a production that she wrote and performed, and we are really about to show just one of her pieces that she's done and have a discussion around that.
Dear Diagnosis, Spare the strands on my head. Deconstruct my kinky curls. Rip apart the replications of failed treatments. Mend the closed willies that failed me. I am more than. It is part of me. I am writing this letter to ask that you accompany me. Us. We. Whilst we rediscover the code to the lock that unseals the doors of authenticity, embodying individuality within our self-made community. Social norms circulate, but I can't hear them anymore, drowning out the doubts and any thoughts that tell me that I am less than. Because alopecia is bravery, constantly pushing past those mental wounds formed by society, breaking barriers between hair and its complicated relationship with identity. Alopecia to me is the definition of sheer beauty.
I love that.
Wow,
Beautiful.
powerful.
Yeah, very powerful.
I feel like I want to cry. This is like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just really so proud of her. Very powerful piece.
Yeah, she's definitely someone a lot of people can look up to and take inspiration from. And I also how it in that piece is like the journey, and then realizing, look, this is who I am, and I'm gonna embrace it.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Speechless.
stunning. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of strength from that, especially young girls who go through the same situations. They want to get a lot of strength from that. So yeah, amazing. That's off to her. Absolute credit to you, Sherrine.
Yes.
Yeah, well done for bringing her up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a journey, but you know, I have to say that she did the work. You know, she kind of looked inward and did the work, and now she's using that to help other children, because she works in schools now, help other children to help their identity issues, and you know, use creativity for their mental health. And so I'm really proud to see that, you know, evolution of self for her. And she's always said, oh, you will say this, Mom, because you're my mom. But I just feel she's such an impactful person. She's very powerful when she produces. And I find that, but maybe I'm biased.
No, it's stunning.
No, that's very true.
Oh, absolutely.
Very true what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all speechless.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. That's a first for me.
Yeah, I second that. Yeah. No, but it's been great speaking with all of you today, and I think it's been a great, honest chat, and we've seen the positives and negatives of social media and how that affects our mental health and how we should deal with it with the 5 steps that Sherrine gave us. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation. How has everyone else felt?
I have. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have. Yeah.
Go ahead, Elaine. Sorry.
No, it's been great connections, and thank you for the invite, Sherrine. Like I said, me and Sherrine talk on a regular basis. She's a dear friend of mine. So yeah, it's lovely to meet new connections. Yeah, and I'll say I'm happy to, just keep moving forward and helping in any way that I can to support.
And thank you so much, Elaine, for coming, for giving your time. You know, we so appreciate, you know, you stepping on the platform and, kind of helping us to get the message out about mental health and, what we can do as individuals to support our own mental health and the ones of our families. And as Isaac mentioned, and I'll repeat, the 5 ways to mental health, to well-being, is to connect with others, take notice of what's happening. So smell a flower, as Elaine suggested before, take your feet, your socks off, walk on the grass. It's really the little things that matters. Be active in whatever way you can. And also learn something new, because that will help you to feel positive about yourself. And also give. It could be your time. It could be just a phone call. It just could be, something minute. Sometimes giving is not always about money. It just could be about your time and your effort.
And like Elaine said earlier on, it's okay to be not okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, excellent.
Well,
I just want to say thank you to both Elaine and for Sherrine for joining us today.
yeah. And giving us your expertise.
And
And also your daughter too. Big shout out to
yeah,
her.
Not forgetting your daughter. Yeah, absolutely.
I will invite her one day on the platform, and thank you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
For putting this together. Thank you also for your efforts.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Yeah. And for everyone who's been tuning in, I hope you have a good rest of your day with everything that we have on later. And yeah, I'm just going to finish off by saying it's okay not to be okay, and there are people out there to listen to you. Yes. So thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.